But the other thing that's interesting off of this, just to, move the conversation, Mike, Rams, awesome, way to go, big move. But there's got to be a little bit, at least in my mind, of like, what are the Chiefs doing right now? What's the state of the Chiefs? What do they think of themselves? Where are they at right now? They don't have, a ton of blue chip players on their football team. This guy was one of them. And he was young, and he's in his prime. And we got another corner in Jalen Watson out there who's going to be a free agent. Somebody might pay him, and the Chiefs might not be able to get him. So it's just funny here, 2 years away from the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and a bad year last year, it kind of looks like they might be on the way to kind of retooling their team, a soft rebuild on the fly like we see a lot of teams do. I'm interested in the Chiefs' approach and mindset right now.
Well, now they have picks number 9 and 29 that they can either retrade or take players with, but they do have plenty of needs. We've talked about that. This is not going to be just a little tweak here or a little tweak there. They've got key players like Chris Jones who are on the wrong end of their prime. We've got Travis Kelce, who may or may not be back if he doesn't come back. And I think at this point, I'd like to think if he was retiring, he would have retired by now, but who knows? Who knows? All the indications have been he's coming back, but you still got to work out a contract with him. He ain't going to play for free, nor should he. Your running backs, your top 2 running backs are going to be free agents in Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. The offensive line, they cut Jawan Taylor, or they're going to. I think it's going to be official the first day of the league year unless they've already cut him. They've just got some real questions. Josh Simmons had that period of time where he wasn't playing last year. And so
Rasheed Rice. You talked about that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, Rasheed Rice facing another suspension for this time allegations of domestic violence. Last time it was for the street racing incident. So they've got issues. They've got needs. And, this is one of the great things about having a franchise quarterback. You have that guy cover up a lot of stuff for you, but you're going to get to a point in that guy's career where you're rebuilding the team around him. And it's either going to be subtle or it's going to be dramatic. And it feels like for the Chiefs, it's going to be dramatic.
Yeah, it does. It's almost, and it's funny just because this is the guy we compare him to. And you've joked about this before, like with Tom Brady, because he basically had the first 3 Super Bowls, lost in the undefeated season. That team, the shelf life there, he hurts his knee, comes back. It's the Patriots are competitive and good, but they're not great. And Brady wasn't great at first as far as, being aggressive. There's a reason they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo and all of that, like we've always talked about. But they go to the Super Bowl again still and lose to the Giants, but they're in the mix, as we know, and a big part of that was Brady, and we know Belichick and all of that. But really, in the meanwhile of doing that, they were kind of retooling their team there, and that was amazing. They were like in rebuilds, and we're like, oh, they're in the AFC Championship in a rebuild year. That's where they were incredible. And then they got it to a point where they're like, okay, now we're ready to go beat the Broncos or win these AFC Championship games and go to the Super Bowls, and we're going to win the freaking things. And it's just amazing how there's some parallels between Mahomes and the Chiefs and that Patriots dynasty and all of that. I just was thinking of that it was, somewhat ironic last night. I was kind of thinking about the show today and what we were going to talk about.
I remember after the Patriots won their 3, it was a decade until they won their 4th. And the Chiefs have their 3, and they could go on another run, and they could win 3 more. It just may take a while for them to get back to that point. And or they can just be back this year. When you look at the rest of the landscape of the AFC, they could maybe just figure it all out this year because there's plenty of turmoil and transition for some of the top teams with new head coaches and questions about where the Bills are going to be, where the Ravens are going to be, where the Steelers are going to be. What are the Texans going to be with C.J. Stroud? Is he going to snap out of whatever it was last year? Can the Broncos keep moving in the direction that they've been moving in? Can the Chargers finally put enough around Justin Herbert? The AFC's wide open, but it feels like the Chiefs got a lot of work to do, but they at least have an extra pick in round 1 to try to address their various needs. And speaking of needs, I think of Snead, L'Jarius Sneed, L'Jarius Sneed, it kind of rhymes. They traded him 2 years ago under the franchise tag. So do they not value their secondary? Is that what it comes down to? They don't market value their secondary?
I think there's 2 things. L'Jarius Sneed I think there was concerns about his knee, and remember that was a little bit of a hold up there.
Yep.
I think they kind of saw that and were like, I don't know if we want to invest big money into this guy because we're just not sure how long he's going to last. So I think they were kind of, buyer beware about wanting to give him too much money. I think a little bit of the other thing with the Chiefs is a little bit consistent with what we say with the Rams. I think the Chiefs are a little bit like, oh, we know how to evaluate guys in the secondary. We're pretty good at it. We'll find some new ones. And I think so. I think there's a confidence there that they feel like they can do that. They've had a pretty good secondary. Spags, Veach, Andy Reid, they seem very good at evaluating that part of the football team. They've drafted guys in middle rounds that have become, came to be big-time football players. So maybe there's that confidence there. And then, we'll see what they do here with Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, who are guys that have been there and had big roles, especially Jalen Watson. I mean, he's kind of become the guy opposite of McDuffie. But they're going to let him test the market. We'll see where it goes. But, yeah, it's odd. It's just odd because this just shows you how quickly the NFL moves. It was 3 years ago and we were going, man, the Chiefs just got ballers everywhere and they got difference makers. And here we are 3 years later and some of those guys got older and they're not on the football team and the NFL business happens and guys go to different spots. And we go, damn. Chris Jones is a difference maker, but it's like you said, coming to the end, it's not like it's still going up. The offensive side of the ball, you go, damn, is anybody a difference maker other than Patrick Mahomes right now? I know Kelsey's real good, but he's not a danger like he once was. He's just a good tight end at this point. And so that's what's just amazing about the NFL and specifically the Chiefs situation.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.